You. Yes, you. The one they doubted, the one they dismissed, the one who got overlooked, underestimated, misunderstood, the one they thought was out of their league because you refused to play by their rules. You are the storm that learned how to stand still in chaos. You are the silence that grew teeth. And right now, right in this moment, I'm talking to every broken soul who got tired of bleeding for people who never clapped when you were breathing. I'm talking to the ones who stared at the ceiling at 3 a.m. wondering if this is it. The ones who felt hollow and heavy at the same time. The ones who have walked through their own hell barefoot and came out fireproof. This one's for you. This is your mirror. This is your resurrection. This is your revenge. This is your moment where the world finally says, WTF just hit them, because they didn't see it coming. They never do. See, when you've been quiet for too long, when you've kept your mouth shut while swallowing insult after insult, pain after pain, setback after setback, the world assumes you're done. They confuse stillness with weakness. They confuse patience with defeat. But what they don't understand is that every second of your silence was not surrender. It was the forging of a blade. You weren't hiding. You were sharpening. And now they'll feel it. Now they'll see it. And when they do, they won't have words. They'll just stand there, frozen, stunned, speechless. Because you've become the thing they told you you'd never be. Not because they taught you. Not because they helped you, but because you bled for it. You starved for it. You broke yourself into 1,000 pieces and rebuilt yourself out of rage and willpower. You didn't need luck. You didn't need permission. You needed silence. You needed pain. And you turned it into fuel. You turned it into fire. You turned it into the reason they now stare, confused, asking, how the fuck did this happen? Let them ask. Let them sit in that stunned silence. Let them tremble in the realization that the version of you they ignored was the cocoon. And now they're standing in the presence of the monster you made in the dark. You didn't just evolve, you detonated. And no one's ready for what you've become. Every time they left you on read, every time they ghosted you when you needed them, every back turned on you, it built something in you. Something cold, something real, something sharp. Now, you walk into rooms like you own the silence. Now you speak with the calm of someone who's seen too much to be scared anymore. Because when you've hit rock bottom and made a home there, you don't fear the fall. You become the gravity. And now you're the one who walks past people like they're ghosts. Because they are. Dead to your journey, irrelevant to your mission. They chose not to believe. That was their mistake. They laughed when you struggled. That was their mistake. They counted you out before you even began. And that was their final mistake. Because now, they're catching shrapnel from a version of you that doesn't play by the rules anymore. Now they get hit by the shockwave of your comeback. They feel it in their chest. They feel it in their bones. And they don't understand. How could they? They never stayed to witness your process. They skipped the blood, sweat, and screaming. They just tuned in for the explosion. Now they're just standing there. WTF just hit them? Let them stay speechless. Because this moment was never meant for them. It was for you. For the one who kept fighting when no one clapped. For the one who showed up every single day, even with cracked ribs and a shattered heart. For the one who didn't fold when it got unbearable. You carried mountains in your silence. You held wars in your chest. And you never once asked for a damn thing. You just kept going. This isn't luck. This isn't fate. This is retribution. This is the cost of all those nights you spent curled up in silence, All those tears that never got wiped away, all the dreams you buried while trying to survive. This is you, unleashed, undeniable, unstoppable. They want to know what hit them? Tell them this. It was everything they ignored, every ounce of your pain, every second of your silence, every inch of your climb. It came back as a reckoning. It came back as a roar. It came back as you, unrecognizable, untouchable, unapologetic. So now, walk like you own the silence. Speak like thunder dressed in calm. Look them in the eyes and watch them flinch. You don't need to scream. You don't need to post. You don't need to prove. Your presence says it all. Your rise says it all. And their silence, that stunned, frozen, wide-eyed silence, says even more. You've become their question mark, their glitch in the matrix, the answer they never prepared for. They thought they could define you, control you, box you in. But you don't fit in their narratives anymore. You don't fit in anyone's narrative but your own. You write your story in scars and steel. You walk in chapters made of defiance, and you end every paragraph with a version of yourself they can't read. This is not revenge. This is remembrance. This is every ounce of strength that was forged through pain, now turned into precision. This is what happens when someone keeps going, even after everything tried to break them. This is what happens when you refuse to die inside. You don't just return. You become the thing they pray never comes back. You become legend. You become warning. So let them talk. Let them whisper. Let them stutter. Let them choke on their surprise. Because while they were busy watching, you were busy becoming. And now that you're here, now that you've broken through, you don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't owe them your story. You don't owe them your process. They don't get to understand you. They get to feel you. That's all. Because this power, this dark fuel, this quiet rage, it's not for everyone. It's sacred. It's earned. And if they didn't walk through the hell with you, they don't get to stand in the fire with you now. Let them burn from the outside. Let them freeze in disbelief. Let them drown in the silence you wear like armor. You didn't survive to make them comfortable. You didn't heal to seek approval. You came back for everything they said you couldn't have. You came back for blood, for glory, for peace, for silence. You came back as the storm that doesn't need thunder to make people shake. You are the aftermath. You are the echo. You are the reason their hearts skip a beat when you walk in. So take it all in, the shock, the whispers, the disbelief. Breathe it in like oxygen, because that reaction, that stunned silence, is your reward. That is the sound of people realizing they underestimated the wrong one. That is the sound of people understanding, finally, that you were never gone. You were building. You were waiting. You were becoming. And now that you're here, there's no going back. There's no dimming down. There's no softening the blade. You don't need to be palatable anymore. You don't need to fit in anymore. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be undeniable. You're here to make history, not friends. You're here to remind the world what happens when someone refuses to die quietly. Let them say it. Let them scream it. Let them fear it. WTF just hit them? You did, and you're just getting started. You weren't meant to be understood. You were meant to be feared. Because you didn't just survive the storm, you became it. And now every room you enter remembers your silence like thunder. They don't hear you coming, but they feel the atmosphere change. The temperature drops. The weight gets heavier. People shift in their seats, hearts racing for reasons they can't explain. Because your presence carries war now. Your footsteps echo with battles won in places no one knew you were fighting. You walk like you've already faced the end and laughed in its face. You were forged in the kind of pain that doesn't show up on Instagram quotes, the kind of pain no one claps for, the kind you endure in silence while the rest of the world moves on. You cried yourself to sleep on nights no one will ever know about. You begged the universe for answers that never came. You screamed into the void hoping something, anything, would scream back. But nothing did. And that was the moment you learned the truth. No one is coming. No hero, no rescue, no easy way out. Just you, bleeding, breaking, crawling, and still moving forward. That was your origin story, not some fairy tale, not some viral clip. Real, raw, ruthless. You built your power in the silence. You earned your strength in the shadows. You made something out of nothing, and now they're choking on the result. That stunned look on their face. That's fear mixed with regret. That's the sound of every person who underestimated you realizing, too late, that they never should have. They're standing there frozen because they can't process what you've become. The ones who used to laugh at you now stay quiet when you speak. The ones who walked away are watching from the sidelines, praying you don't remember. But you do. Oh, you remember everything. Not because you're bitter, but because you're built from it. Every betrayal, every abandonment, every conversation where they smiled to your face but rooted for your failure in silence. You carry those receipts in your bones. You walk with that history like a weapon. And you don't have to raise your voice or seek revenge. Your existence is the revenge. Your presence is the closure. You didn't come back to prove them wrong. You came back to prove to yourself that they were never right in the first place. And now they're the ones catching their breath. Now they're the ones whispering behind closed doors, replaying old conversations, retracing their steps, trying to figure out how they missed this coming. But it's too late. You're not the same. You don't beg anymore. You don't explain. You don't shrink. You don't apologize for how loud your silence is now. You don't play small to make others feel safe. You became the threat they never saw coming. The one with a smile too calm for the chaos you can unleash. You don't need to flex. You don't need to scream. You've got nothing to prove. The way you walk, the way you stare through people, it says more than 1,000 words ever could. Your stillness is a siren. Your silence is a sentence. People feel your energy before they hear your name. And the weight of your aura, it's crushing to anyone who thought they were bigger than your vision. They wanted to break you. Hell, some of them tried. Subtle jabs, quiet sabotage, ghosting when you were at your lowest, laughing when you failed. And now they look away when you speak because they know. They know you saw them. You always did. You just chose silence over spectacle. You chose growth over gossip. You chose discipline over drama. And now you've become everything they never expected and everything they secretly feared. That moment you stopped needing them, that's when you became lethal. The moment you decided your value didn't come from their approval, that's when the game changed. You took every no and turned it into rocket fuel. You took every delay and turned it into domination. You became a force so self-sufficient that the world had no choice but to move around you. You became the standard. You became the fucking blueprint. They ask, WTF just hit them? You did. And they weren't ready because they thought you needed them. They thought you'd stay soft, stay quiet, stay in line. But no. You burned the line down and rewrote the rules in your own blood. You don't beg for seats at tables anymore. You build your own, set it on fire, and dare the world to watch you eat. You don't knock on doors anymore. You break them off the hinges or carve a new path no one else can walk. You became ungovernable, not reckless, just uncontrollable. Because no one who truly knows their own power allows anyone else to dictate their pace. And that's what makes you dangerous now. You stopped explaining. You stopped giving access. You stopped over-explaining your pain to people who couldn't handle your peace. Now, you move in silence. Now you execute in shadows. Now you let results speak and let silence echo. They say you've changed. Damn right you have. You stopped allowing your trauma to be entertainment. You stopped allowing your gifts to be wasted. You stopped letting people rent space in your mind who never paid a dime of respect. You became the version of you that your younger self prayed for. The version who never gets silenced, who never backs down, who never settles. Let them watch. Let them guess. Let them spin their theories. You don't owe them clarity. You don't owe them closure. Let them stay stunned. Let them freeze. Because in that stillness, in that speechless pause, is your power. That moment where they realize they'll never get another version of you again, that's your legacy. You turned every insult into an armor plate. You turned every heartbreak into battle tactics. You turned every rock thrown at you into bricks for a throne. And now you sit on it, silent, composed, unapologetic. They see the glow now, but they don't know the fires you walked through to get it. Let them guess. Let them sit in confusion. Because the truth is too heavy for those who never carried weight. You made it out. Not clean, not untouched, but alive, stronger, smarter, colder. And now you're a ghost to the people who once knew you. You haunt them not with pain, but with progress. You don't chase, you don't beg, you don't check in. You level up in silence. And that silence, it screams. WTF just hit them? Reality, consequence, you. All of it wrapped in one terrifying, undeniable force of nature. You're the reminder that the ones who suffer quietly are the ones who rise violently. You're what happens when patience runs out and purpose takes over. And it's just the beginning. This isn't your peak. This is just your return, your comeback. The calm before your storm swallows everything that doubted you. You were the underdog, now you're the overkill, and they'll never see peace the same way again. You were the underdog, now you're the overkill. And the scariest part? You didn't even unleash your full power yet. This, what they're witnessing, is just a glimpse. Just the edge of the blade. You haven't even cut deep yet. You're still calculating, still focused, still sharpening in real time. And they're already trembling, already frozen, already speechless. Let them stay stuck in their shock. Let them replay the memories they never thought would come back to haunt them. Let them scroll through your feed with wide eyes. Let them sit in rooms and talk about how you're different now, like it's a crime to outgrow the pain they left you in. Let them try to decode your confidence, your fire, your songs. Let them choke on the fact that the one they thought would never make it is now the one they can't escape. They thought it was over for you, that you were done, that you'd vanish quietly like the others. But no, you went dark, not down. You didn't disappear. You evolved. You took the hit. You fell, and you used the ground as a launch pad. You got up, but not as the same person. You rose as a force they'll never be able to calculate. You became a version of yourself that eats pain for breakfast and uses silence as a language. A version that doesn't flinch, doesn't fold, doesn't break. A version that doesn't wait for karma, because you are karma now. You are the full circle moment, the unexpected twist, the ghost of every doubt they threw at you. And that look in their eyes now, that stunned, pale, blank silence. That's what happens when people witness power they didn't believe in. That's what happens when your scars turn into your armor and your past becomes your artillery. That's what happens when someone takes rock bottom personally and climbs back with war in their chest. They don't get it. They won't. Because they didn't see the nights you screamed into the pillow so no one would hear you. They didn't see you pacing the room, trying to keep yourself from falling apart. They didn't see the days you barely held it together, but still showed up, still fought, still carried your dreams like they weren't drowning. They didn't see the breakdowns. They only see the breakthrough, and now they're stunned because you never sent out a warning. But why would you? You don't warn people who bet against you, you show them. And now your presence feels like a reckoning. Your silence feels like judgment. Every step you take is a reminder, not just of who you've become, but of who they failed to support, failed to believe in, failed to protect. You don't need revenge. You don't need validation. You don't even need them to admit they were wrong. You're not here to be forgiven or understood. You're here to be undeniable. And when you walk past them now, oh, they feel it. That chill down their spine, that pause in their breath. That's your spirit walking through the same rooms where you used to be invisible. That's your energy owning spaces they never thought you'd be allowed to enter. And now, every eye that once looked down on you has no choice but to look up. But you don't look back. You don't pause. You just move, like a goddamn force of nature. They wonder how you pulled yourself out, how you stayed silent and still shattered expectations, how you turned all that pain into power. They'll try to copy your steps now, try to emulate your fire, but they won't find it. Because what you carry can't be copied. It was born in betrayal, forged in suffering, tempered by isolation, and refined by the will to rise when no one clapped, when no one cared, when no one stayed. What hit them wasn't luck. What hit them wasn't chance. It was the moment destiny stopped knocking and kicked the door down wearing your face. What hit them was a storm, years in the making. Rage distilled into focus. Doubt turned into fuel. And now the whole world has to adjust to a new reality. One where you don't ask, you don't wait, you take. You take your time back. You take your power back. You take your narrative and rewrite it in bold, blood red ink. And for every person who turned their back, you became your own spine. For every lie they told about you, you built truth louder than any rumor. And now you're living proof that some souls don't just survive the fire, they become it. They want to apologize now. They want to make peace. They want to be part of the glory they once laughed at. But you know better. You don't open gates that were closed in your darkest hour. You don't share your wins with people who watched you lose without blinking. You don't let snakes back in just because they shed their skin. You cut off access. You don't owe anyone your softness anymore. That version of you is gone, dead, buried beneath the weight of every lie you swallowed. And what rose from that grave? It's not bitter, it's better, colder, sharper, relentless, strategic. Because now you see everything for what it is, and more importantly, for what it's not. You don't chase people, you chase purpose. You don't crave applause, you crave evolution. You don't need the room to like you, you need the room to feel you. And they do, even in silence. So don't slow down, don't dim, don't apologize for taking up space that was built to contain you. Let the world feel the quake. Let the old version of you mourn in peace, because you're not going back. You're not shrinking to fit small minds. You're not editing your soul to be digestible. You're not breaking your back to carry people who watched you drown. This is your season of war, not war with others. War with every inch of self-doubt that ever whispered you weren't enough. War with every excuse you let live too long. War with every version of yourself that played small to keep the peace. This is your revenge arc, your evolution phase. And the ones who doubted you, they're just background noise now, watching, stuttering, frozen in disbelief, still asking, WTF just hit us? You hit them. Your truth hit them. Your comeback hit them. Your level up hit them. Your resilience hit them so hard it cracked their illusions. And now they can't breathe around your name. You became the plot twist, the walking contradiction, the one who wasn't supposed to win, but did, loudly, clearly, permanently. You owe them nothing, not forgiveness, not friendship, not access. You are no longer the version of you that tolerated anything beneath your worth. You don't shrink for comfort, you rise for conquest. You are not the same, and thank God for that. So hold your head like a sword, walk like a loaded gun, breathe like fires in your lungs, because the ones who made you feel small are now learning what happens when small things grow into giants. And if they're frozen, stunned, and speechless, good. That means they finally see it. That means the mask is off. That means the monster they created is here, and it's not going anywhere.